So on Saturday, I got up and I checked X just to see what was going on. And there was this crazy rumor that Rickey Henderson, the great Major League player, had passed away. And I was like, what's this about? So I was like, he's 65 years old. He seems like a very healthy guy. I know that they had sort of said goodbye to Oakland, back in September. And I seen video of him. And he looked fairly healthy. So I was very surprised to see that that this popped up. And then I thought, as I looked through it, it was probably a hoax. Well, a few hours later, when I was out, it wasn't a hoax. Somebody I knew told me, he's like, hey, Rickey Henderson died. I was like, really? And at first I thought, that this was not true. And I looked online, and Dave Winfield had mentioned it. He posted I guess something on Instagram about it, and he basically told him to rest in peace and said goodbye to him. And it was very, very shocking. I mean, this is a guy that was so full of life, and it seemed snuffed out at a fairly, young age. And for this day and age, for someone to pass away at such a young age, didn't have cancer, didn't have a stroke or anything, didn't have any issues under any circumstances. Very bizarre that he died from pneumonia. It's a very unusual thing to die from, and to see him die like that, very sad, to be honest with you. But reflection on him as a player, this is one of the greatest players in the history of the game. When you talk about the top 10 players in the history of the game in terms of their impact, and really the legacy is just enormous. He is the Babe Ruth of base stealing. And his records probably will never be broken. Well, 1,400 steals, and he's 600 ahead of the guy behind him. No one's ever going to catch that. No one's ever going to break that record. No one's going to catch that record. When I was growing up and I was getting baseball cards and I was reading some of the cards with him, and it was always about stolen bases. Like, who's this guy? Who is this guy in Oakland? And just going through it, I mean, that 1 year, 130 stolen bases. And this is when I didn't really know what that meant, but my good, 3 years of 100 steals. 3 of the first 5 years of his career, he stole over 100 bases. Incredible. Absolutely incredible to be able to do that, and and to be so good, so well-rounded as a player. Great hitter, great average hitter, great power, walks a lot. I mean, just incredible. And then to see all this at such a young age, at 21 years old, he came up in 1979, and in 1980 he hit 300. First time he hit 300, 303, 319, and 80 and 81. Just incredible seasons. And have 100 stolen bases, 56 stolen bases, 130 stolen bases, 108 stolen bases. Just an incredible player. And to see this happen as a young kid, and then eventually comes and plays for the Yankees, and I got a chance to watch him on a regular basis. Obviously being a Met fan, and then to see how talented he was, and even then, it's funny. Was going through his numbers. It basically took the entirety of Derek Jeter to pass him, the entirety of Derek Jeter's career to pass him up on the stolen base list that the Yankees have. And he's only 30 ahead of Rickey. And Rickey played only 4.5 years. He only played 4.5 years with the Yankees, and he's only 30 behind, 30 stolen bases behind. Derek Jeter was just incredible. I mean, he just had such an incredible impact wherever he went. And obviously, Don Mattingly, who won the MVP in 1985 in the American League, would not have won if Rickey wasn't playing and batting in front of him. That year, Rickey scored 146 runs. Incredible. 419 on-base percentage. Just crazy. 157 OPS. Incredible. He was third on the MVP. Third in the league in the voting. Just incredible. And then after his time with the Yankees moved him, and they traded him back to Oakland, where he started his career. And he won an MVP, won a World Series the first time. Following year, won an MVP. Just an incredible player. And just looking at these MVP numbers, This is off of Baseball Reference. His WAR, according to Baseball Reference, was 9.9. Insane. 119 runs scored by the league. 65 stolen bases. 439 on-base percentage. 1016 OPS. 189 OPS plus. Just absolutely incredible numbers. Absolutely incredible numbers. And the amazing thing is how long he played for. He played 25 seasons. Played for 9 teams. And of course he played for our New York Mets here. When the Mets signed him, the Mets had already brought in Mike Piazza. They just signed him to a big contract. But that offseason, they made a lot of moves. They traded Todd Hundley and basically got Armando Benitez in return. They signed Robin Ventura. They built themselves a big-time infield. And Rickey was one of the moves they made that really solidified this team in an interesting way. And what was interesting is the year before the Mets brought him in, he stole 66 bases at the age of 39 years old with the A's. Incredible. Just absolutely incredible. And then when he played this 1 year with the Mets, he was great. Rickey was so good. It was unbelievable. It really was. He had 315 he hit 315 at the age of 40 years old. 315, 423 on-base percentage, 889 OPS, 128 OPS plus. So he was 28% better than the average major leaguer. One of the truly fun players to watch. And he touched so many teams, and you saw it all on Saturday and Sunday, all the tributes that came in from all these teams, and even Major League Baseball were devastated by this, about what happened. He's the all-time leader in runs scored, stolen bases, I believe court steals. And for a while, he did have the all-time record for walks, which he had for a few years until Barry Bonds passed him up. 127 OPS, 820 OPS plus, 820 OPS, just incredible numbers from an incredible player. He might have been the most exciting player in the history of baseball. Nobody is even close to this. Like I said, probably the best base runner in the history of the game. A top 10 player in the history of the game. Just in terms of position players, just names of the game: Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Ty Cobb, Hank Aaron, and of course Rickey Henderson. He will be sorely missed, and it's a shame what happened to him. And as a fan, I can't tell you how heartbroken I am as a fan to hear about how he passed away on Saturday, or I guess on Friday, whatever it was. I know baseball is very devastated by this. This was and you knew this was a bad thing, a bad situation, because they basically stopped programming on MLB Network and dedicated the whole day to Rickey Henderson once the word came down officially that he had passed. One of the truly great players and one of the truly great personalities. And he might have been the greatest personality in the history of the game as well, in terms of being able to talk about himself in third person. And there was nothing really malicious about who he was as a person. I mean, just reading about things that people were saying about him, nothing bad. No one ever said anything bad about him. In any clubhouse he was in, they always said nice things about him. So that tells you the kind of impact that he had within the game in terms of the community of players. So it's a sad moment in baseball history to see someone so full of life die so young. And unfortunately, it wasn't anything. I guess he'd been sick for the last few weeks, and just caught up with him. You can only outrun time as fast as you can sometimes. Let me just go through a couple other things before we end this video. And I do appreciate you taking the time to watch. I don't know how many people are going to watch this, but in 1981, he finished second in the MVP voting in the American League. Finished 10th in 82. It should have been higher. In 85, obviously third, and finished 9th in 1989, and he finished first in the voting in 1990. What a great player. And of course, I want to thank you for watching. Rest in peace, Rickey. We'll never forget you, and I'll see you all later.